So now in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to do a double barrel white ganache cake. Learning to work on the double barrel cake is the most important technique in this particular lesson. So double barrel cake is something where the height of the cake is more than the diameter of the cake. Say suppose you have like an 8-inch cake, and if the so more than the height of the cake, which means would it be considered as double barrel if the height is going to be just 9? So it's like very close to 8, right? 9 is very close to 8. So now a 8-inch diameter cake, which is about say maybe 12-inch tall, will be considered as a double barrel. Okay, so when we have tall cakes like that, the weight of the topmost layers that we stack one on top of the other, the weight on the top layer will squish down the bottom layer and it could collapse even if it is going like a single tier cake. So we have to add stability to the double barrel, the layers. So we're just going to keep the layers of the cake intact. So you're going to include some dowels in between the layers, and we are also going to add another board in between the layers. So what happens to cakes which are just being cut and you don't see any layers, like tall cake, like maybe a rainbow cake cut through the entire section, and then you're going to be able to see the layers. Now if they are like really very light cake, then you'll be able to just form the layers. But however, you have the possibility of that cake being collapsed if it is going to be transported to another place, and you don't want to take that risk. So we have to just be sure about making the double barrel. We stick to making double barrel, and we should be able to understand that we could only cut till the top where the board will be placed, and they'll be treated like two different cakes, where dowels will be there in the bottom section of the cake, and then we have a board on top, and then we will be stacking few more layers on top of that. So there will be two different sections where the bottommost dowels with the board on top will be holding the weight of the layers above that. And so a double barrel cake with this technique of stacking with the board in between will keep the double barrel cake without getting collapsed. Okay, so now we know that we are layering the cakes, right? So I have two layered cakes. Both of them are filled with white ganache. And so ideally when you do, I would suggest to do both of them separately, because we will stick to the idea of layering the cakes in the rings or the cake pans. And so we'll be able to have each of these layers intact, and then we are going to dowel, keeping one as the bottom section and one as the top section. Now if you're not going to do the ring, but then I suggest you continue to follow the same process, and if it becomes a habit for you, after a point of time, we've been repeating it for a few times in this course, and I would ask you guys to follow the same process, even if it is not for the lesson cakes that you're going to do. In case if you're not having the time to do this layering of cakes in the rings, then obviously what you need to do is build the layers all the way up and then start doing the stacking. Put the board on top, which I'll be showing you how to do in a while, and then you will start stacking more layers on top of that. So obviously the logic is to build the layers, stop halfway in between, and then again start building the layers. Now we have the layers built separately because we are going to learn this layering the cake in the ring and then follow that, because like I've said in the previous lessons, it just reduces a lot of hassle where the filling is just oozing out because of the weight of the layers that we are building. Okay, so I'm just going to remove one cake and then place it at the bottom. to the other one as well. So now both the layers, just removed it from the ring. So I'm just going to start with a board to board. So now you have a fair idea about the board to board as of now. So a turntable with the anti-slip mat and then the working board on top. Now I have 3 boards here. Now this is the bottom board and this is a cling wrapped board to go on top, and then there comes another board in between. So you know that the measurement of this board will be 1 centimeter bigger than the diameter of the cake that we are using. It's been measured and I have it here. And then this board has to be 1 inch, you can say like maybe 2 centimeters to 2.5 centimeters is 1 inch basically. But then visually, if you want to just see, this is the size of the board that will go inside the cake, because we are going to handle double barrel cake. Okay, so now I'm going to start with this board. This will go in between. It will be like half the way above the first layer of the cake, the bottommost, right? So I'm going to keep that one aside as well. So this is the one that will go on top of the working board. Here I have the ganache, whipped and colored. So I'm just going to soften that up now. And then here I'm just going to apply some ganache. And place the bottom board, just secure it well. And again on this board, here I'm just going to spread some ganache so my bottom layer of the cake sticks on that. Just see if it comes out. I'm just going to place it in the middle of this board. So now after placing this layer of the cake, I just need some, you could do the green colored ganache as well, but I'm just going to use the white, so it's just not going to keep the inside with different colors. So this is again white ganache that's whipped. And this I just need to add after I'm going to place the dowels. Now this cream on top, it will be ideal if we have it leveled, so we can just check if the dowels are all gone in and if they are of the same height. Obviously what we cut the dowels and verify the height of the dowels by visually looking into it is all what matters. So even if the level of the cream on the cake is like a bit of up and down, it wouldn't matter, because we're just going to trust the level of the dowels that we will be cutting. So now I have the most important tool for the lesson, the dowels. So need to talk about dowels. These are almost 6 mm wooden dowels. Okay, and this is about 8 mm plastic dowels. So dowels are available in most of the baking supply store, and if you're in a country where you need to source them, then you need to figure out if you're having both the wooden and the plastic. Now if this is going to be double barrel cake all by itself, Using a plastic dowel alone should be fine. Also, now you need to be sure of what quality plastic dowel you have. So now the one that I use is kind of quite sturdy. It's not a straw, it's like a proper dowel. So I can't press it down here. It's not a straw, it's a dowel. It's like quite sturdy. And this is what I would trust to go with a cake. Now, ideally, when I'm doing tiered cakes, I insist my students to use both the plastic and the wooden, because we have a logic why we need to use both. It's all to prevent accidents on the road, accidents, cake accidents, by the way. So you're sending out cake on the road and you don't know when you're going to have like a heavier bump. Now, if the cake is going to be transported very carefully and then you just want to go with one of the double, then we could be lucky most of the times. But if there is one accident and if that could have been prevented by just following this step of using both the dowels all the time, just make it a practice, because anyone who had used this method of using both the dowels, I haven't seen an accident, a cake accident where the cake is collapsed. So we don't have to wait for that 1 out of 10th time to happen. So we could just get that experience and then on try to rectify the mistake that we made. So it's like 9 times we could be lucky. But to prevent that one last time for an accident to happen, we're just going to follow using both the wooden and the plastic dowels. Okay. So now when you're choosing the wooden and the plastic, you just need to be sure why this was 6 mm and then why this was 8 mm, because you want the wooden dowel to go inside the plastic. Okay, and then it just comes out. It's also tightly packed. Okay, and it comes out and then we can just remove. So this is the size, coordinated size between the wooden and the plastic that you should have. Okay, so let me just start with this one, because this is going to be a simple double barrel cake. Okay, now this board would come here in between, which is to the size of the cake. Obviously, I said it has to be smaller in size than the board that we are using there. So you have to be 1 inch inside. So that will be a 1 inch measured size. Okay, now I'm just going to use a bit of my scale. So I'm just going to do the measurement. I'm just going to have a 1 inch marked on the inside, and here again 1 inch marked on the inside, and again right opposite. Let me just have 1 inch marked here and 1 inch marked here. So I have 4 markings. So what I'm going to do, join those markings in a circular way. Make a circle. So this circle, which is 1 inch smaller than the diameter of the cake, will be your outline for marking your dowels. Okay, into that place. Now I'm just going to again work on some more math, because the spacing between each dowel. So you learn this in extreme detail when we are actually stacking a 2-tier cake. So right now we just start with 1 point and keeping the scale, find where the 2-inch scale starts here and the 2-inch ends there. I just make a marking there. That will be my first point of the dowel, and from the second point is keep the scale and then find where the 2-inch marking of the scale meets that line, and that will be my third point. And then again scale starts from that marking and you find where the 2-inch of the scale touches that line. So your first one is your 1, 2, 3, 4, and then find again, start the scale from there, 2-inch ends here, and then you find the marking. Okay, and then if you have the gap between the last one you did and the first one is 2 inches, which is like the perfect. In case it is not 2 inches, we'll talk about that in the 2-tier stacking lesson. So now we've made the marking for the doubles. We have 5 points. Now, how do you decide how many number of doubles do you need? Basically, with this calculation is when you will figure out how many doubles you want. You can't be just looking at the cake and then telling, hey, I need 4 doubles or 5 doubles or 6 doubles. With this calculation, you can just be sure how many doubles you need. Okay. Now, we're actually going to insert the doubles. So now while inserting, ideally people tend to do mistake. You just need to be extremely careful about how you are inserting the dowel. Now if you're going to stand like this and then press it down, the dowel will go in slanted. Now anywhere which is not straight and making the dowel go in slanted, then you have a trouble. So just be sure straight in, press it down all the way till the bottom. Okay, and then get a pencil and go to the eye level of this cake and make a pencil marking. The same level as the cream. Okay, and I'm going to pull this out. So you can just see the pencil marking here, and I'm going to use dowel cutter and then cut it exactly in the same place. So dowel cutters could come in different ways. You could find a PVC cutter as well, which comes in handy. So this is a PVC cutter. So it is not like scissors because these are thicker dowels, right? So you may find it difficult to cut using scissors. So here while cutting the dowel, you just need to be careful about how you're cutting. Now if I'm just holding it here, and if I'm going to tilt it to some point and then cut exactly on that line even, then my dowel will not be straight. It is very important that you keep the dowel cutter straight, and then just going to hold the other side as well and then press it well, and then you have the first dowel cut out. I'm just going to place it here. Now I just need to measure my second dowel. So that will be my first dowels marking, okay, the size. Now I just need to place both these dowels at the same point, and it's very important that you need to get to the level of the dowel. Just going to turn it towards me, eye level, and then just make a marking, a pencil marking. Okay, you can just see the pencil marking that I made. It needs to be the exact same height of the dowel that we cut first. Okay, and then again I'm just going to use the dowel cutter, place it straight exactly, and hold on both sides and cut through. So that will be my second. Now again I will use the first dowel itself to check if I can use the third one. We need 5, right? So this is the height we have, and then I'm going to mark with a pencil. So it's important to get to the eye level, and that's why I'm doing the same. So you will do the same. You could sit in a chair, you could just kneel down, but it's very important that you actually get to the eye level and keep the dowel straight. And then make a pencil marking, so you can see. And once that marking is done, I'm just going to use the dowel cutter. Go right in, straight, then cut. Okay, so my third one is also done. So let me just mark the fourth one and the fifth one and then cut them to the exact size, and then I'll get back. In the meanwhile, we will also be uh, needing the wooden dowel as well. So let me just make the marking for the wooden dowel. So eye level, so you could use the same dowel cutter for the wooden as well. Okay, so straight through, and then we're just going to come back to show all the 5 wooden dowels cut to the same height, and all the plastic dowels, all of them cut to the same height, and that's when we're just going to have a very stable structure. So I have the dowels cut. You can see all of them are the same height. It's very important to keep the dowels in the same height. So the plastic dowels are all done, and I have the wooden dowels here. Let's just check the height. Keep all of them on the floor, flat down. Okay, and then straight, and then just check if any of the dowels are not the same height, which means it just needs correction. I think we could just pick this one which is taller than the rest. So I'm just going to pick that one. So if our dowel is a bit bigger than the rest, then there is one way we could just reduce the height of it. So this is sandpaper. You could get it from any hardware supply store as well. And I'm just going to just keep scratching it on the sandpaper. And then I'm just going to check the level if it is reduced and if it is enough. So now you can see it's the same height as the other dowel, so it will be same as the rest of the 4 as well. And now I'm just ready with all the dowels that are needed to go on this particular cake. And now let's just start to stack the double barrel cake. So I'm just going to put the first dowel in the same place because it has the cake inside. We have all the 5 markings made, right? So it will just go into the same marking that we've done. So first insert the plastic dowels, then again just make sure you're just not pushing it through slanted, so just keep it straight and then push through. And then inside the plastic dowels we are just going to insert the wooden as it goes and touches the cake layer inside the plastic dowel. You will find it a bit difficult, but it will go in. Just put in some extra pressure. Okay, so we're done with this, which is good. And then I'm going to place a board here. So I'm just going to use some wet ganache softener. For the board that I'm going to place on top to stick. So this goes into the middle. Okay, and Then on top of that, we have this layer to go. Right now, I need to have a center dowel that will keep the layers together. So let's measure the cake. We just have about, say, 10.5 centimeters here on the side, and then just moving on to the other cake to measure, we have again another 10.5 centimeters. Okay, now this is going to come on top of that, so adding both together will be 21. And the center dowel, it can be the wooden dowel, and I'm going to reduce about, say, 2 centimeters from the total height. So 21 centimeter we have, and so I'm going to cut the dowel measure to 19 centimeters. So I'm going to mark 19 centimeters. Go in and cut. So I'm just going to pass this through in the middle. And then I just want some more ganache in here for the top layer to come. I'm just going to lift this layer. I'm just going to find the center. Just gently pass it through. So the dowel will still be inside because we've just cut 2 centimeters lesser, right? So we have put the tall cake together with a good amount of support in between, and now what we need to do is to start doing the board to board sharp edges. So now I'll be adding the white ganache, which is the colored one, because that is the one I just need to use on the top, right, before placing the top board on. I'm just going to soften up the ganache. And then add a good amount of ganache on the top. So I'm just going to use the spatula. I have a bowl of hot water. I'm going to just smooth the top. And then I'm going to place the cling wrap board on top. You know, the place where I've just folded is going to be facing upward, and the other side is going to touch the cake. I'm just going to wiggle this, and so it just sticks well. And now we just need to do the board to board alignment, right? So now I have 2 scrapers here. They are quite tall. I'm just going to press it from both sides. So dabbing it on the working board, pressing it on both sides, turning it and pressing it. So making sure both the scrapers should touch both the boards, the top and the bottom. So once you have all around both the scrapers touching both the boards, then we have done with the board alignment. So now the top board is placed and I have the spirit level app. And we need to pick this up and then place it on the table. And once this is set to 0, 0, I'm just going to open the cling wrap on the top of the board. And then place it on the top. And to check, it's almost good. It is a 0.2 to minus 0.2, which is quite fine. So I'm just not going to disturb the top. So I'm putting back the cling wrap. I'm going to start to apply the cream on the sides. So again, I'm going to do part by part. Have a bowl of hot water. They also have a ladle here. I'm just going to heat up the entire side to the height of how much this scraper will touch the sides of the cake. And then hitting this board and scraping with both the boards touching this scraper. And again, the top board edge should be clean, so I'm scraping more. I'm just going to fix the air bubbles. So I'm just going to pick up a small palette knife and then grab some ganache. Like here we just need quite a bit because that's like a bigger dent. So now this sounds clean at the stage. Now I'm going to move on to the next section. We'll just finish the other section in one stretch. So I'm going to apply the ganache. I'm just looking for bigger pockets. There are quite a few. I'm just going to fill that with ganache. Let me use the bigger spatula. I'm just going to see where the scraper's not touching. I find gaps, then I'm going to add in some more ganache in that place. Say there's the entire area. And also because we are working with a ganache with hot scraper, right, it would keep melting the chocolate, especially the white ganache. We're looking at clean finish. You could just freeze this at the stage after I scrape with the excess that I've added. And then once the ganache is all nicely set, if we could run the hot scraper on top of it, then it's not going to have these stretchy areas, because it's just kind of the ganache on the cake is also quite soft now. I'm just going to scrape it off once, and then I'm going to pop it in the freezer, say for about half an hour to 1 hour. Once the ganache is nicely set, we'll just come back and then do a finishing before removing the top. Let me just remove this excess here. Okay, so at this stage I'm just going to put this in the freezer. Otherwise, now as much as I'm going to keep scraping, we're just going to have these lines because the entire ganache on the sides is kind of softened up, also because we are using hot scraper, right? So with this I'll get back, say maybe after an hour of freezing, and then we'll just continue from there to get a bit more cleaner finish.